So yeah, I might have gotten a little bit spicy, but if you put your stuff on TikTok and want to talk about extremes or absolutes for tarot, then you have to at least accept that other people in the community who do this work professionally are going to respond to it. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. And I want to let you guys know that I got some really beautiful gifts from this company called, oh, hang on. And I also wanted to let you know I got some beautiful gifts from this company called Copperist. And maybe I can show you. Look at my little gecko. Isn't he cute? Meep, meep, meep. And I also got a little hognose python. And they have been super generous and let me know that if you leave a comment in the comments below, I can pick one of you at random and you will win one of these hognose snakes, and they have little gemmies in the eyes, rings. So let me know, say you want to win, leave comments. It also really helps my channel. Thank you to Copperist Woo for the lovely gifts. I'll pop a link below if you want to go check out their collection. I just like this gecko ring. I mean, it's so cute. Yeah, this was an interesting video. If you want me to do more spicy ones like this, let me know. But as always, take what resonates with you, leave the rest. And gatekeeping, I mean, fuck it, honestly. Like, as long as you're doing no harm, as long as you're doing your best, and as long as you can sleep with yourself at night knowing that you're not a shitty person, then I think you're doing all right, kid. Bye.
So how are you able to spot a real tarot reader from a fake? I could talk about this subject for days because there are so many fakes on here and they will bullshit you with their whole chest. However, I'll give you some tips and tricks on what to look for. Number one, are they cleansing their deck in between readings? If they're not even taking the time to cleanse the deck between readings, you can bet your ass they most likely did not take time to even learn what the cards mean.
So I guess my whole gig is bullshit, right? I absolutely cleanse my decks before readings, but there are times at fairs when, I mean, I can knock it or put a crystal on there. I do think that cleansing them does help, but this whole like direct link between not cleansing your deck and not even knowing the art of tarot is what a jump. Maybe these things are two different things. Like, learning how to energetically cleanse something is completely different from knowing a system of divination. What on earth? Like, yeah, so I call bullshit on this one completely. You will know whether someone knows the tarot anyway throughout your reading, and if you do any amount of digging on the personal research when it comes to them, or you trust your intuition, which is the biggest thing. But just because you don't cleanse your deck in between readings doesn't mean you don't know the art of divination. They are two completely different things, two different modalities and different tools. So I don't even know why they have anything to do with each other.
Number two, what is their environment like? Do they have like hip hop, rock, or chaotic music going in the background? Are they treating everybody as a cattle call? No. Pass. Tarot and psychic work is meant to be calm and centered. You cannot connect when you're in the midst of chaos.
So hands up or in the comments for those people who have read at events where it is loud, where you have had to learn how to drown out or at least center your own magic and your own ability and your own environment to be able to do your sacred work. Like, honestly, it's like, who gives a shit what the background is? I have read at corporate events in clubs. I have read in boardrooms. I've read in beautiful sacred space. Is my preference sacred space where I can be chill and, you know, take my time, and all of my clients, yes, I do that. But sometimes it is dark, you know, quick and dirty. We even have this, you know, this joke at Reader Studio a few years ago. We were doing down and dirty tarot readings where you can get to the fucking point really quickly wherever you are at. If you know the tarot, you can read that shit anywhere. Your environment, I mean, does it say a lot about their personal preference or their vibe as a reader? Totally. But just because they have an environment you may not read in doesn't mean they are not legit and they don't know what they're doing.
Number three, how are they shuffling? This is a big deal with all the readers on here that love the chaotic shuffle and making cards fly out. Tarot is not a show. Tarot is a divine feminine art and is meant to be calm. We take our ego out of it. So if somebody is shuffling chaotically trying to make the cards fly out, their ego is in it because they want to force this to happen instead of allowing the cards to do what they need to do.
Okay, so clearly Erica has never cracked a history book in her life. Joke a little bit. But please, Erica, if you ever see this, I doubt you ever will, go read some shit from Robert Place, because honestly, you're saying the tarot is a divine feminine art. It is not. It is like, there is no fact to that. You come to the cards as a divine feminine art. That's you. That's not the cards. Read the history of tarot, where it came from. Who petitioned and created the first decks? Where did it come from? Who are the ateliers? Who are the Visconti forces? Who is Waite? Dude. Who is Crowley? Dude. I mean, do some fucking research. It is not a divine feminine art, and it hasn't become one until it became much more popular when more modern reconstructed paganism, also created by guys like, hello, Gardner. I mean, Margaret Adler, yes, she had her thing too. But honestly, like, you have come to this as a divine feminine art. Many of us do, but it's not. Also, look at some of the tarot decks into recent history. There are a bunch of penises in those decks. Most of it is masculine. Most of it has got deep Catholic or Christian roots. The fucking Thoth tarot is based on a god of Egyptian mythology. Crack a fucking book before you start saying bullshit like that. Plus, shuffling, I will shuffle the fucking cards however I please. I thank you very much. I'm a rough shuffler. I don't actually read jumpers when it comes to cards coming out of the deck, because I mean, there could be anything. If people read jumpers or they want to shuffle that really hard to read a jumper, that is their style. It doesn't mean that they are doing anything wrong. That is just what they want to do. Your shuffling has got nothing fucking to do with whether you're a good reader or not. I have clients and I have students who have disabilities and need to use a manual, like an electronic card shuffler because they're an amputee. What, are you trying to tell me that that's not cool, that they aren't a tarot reader? Come on now. You can do better than that.
Number 4, are they using the entire deck for your reading? If they are just drawing cards off the top, reading for several people at a time, no, hard pass. You have to have the entire deck for one reading. Otherwise, it's considered a false reading.
I understand where this statement is coming from, and I prefer to use a full deck, but there are plenty of major arcana only decks out there. And again, the very earliest Tarocchi decks were very different. You know, we had the 56 playing cards, but I mean, like, we've added an entire, there were no pages, they were added to the original. People do just majors only, people do just court only. You can do lots of exercises with just specific types of and readings with just specific structures within the tarot. So while I will read for clients with an entire deck, because yes, I believe it is a full system and it has a full story to tell us, it doesn't mean that you are not a tarot reader if you are not using the full deck. And if you are doing readings live on something like TikTok or on Instagram or something like that, and you just want to keep like pulling from the top, who fucking cares? If the message resonates, do it. I mean, like, there's a lot of people on Instagram and live and TikTok and all that kind of stuff who are doing all sorts of new shit. So what? If it doesn't resonate with you, or if you don't do it that way, doesn't mean that they are not a legit reader. It just means that you don't like what they're doing, or it's not your personal preference.
Number 5, are they using a tarot spread? They need to be using a tarot spread because the spread indicates what the cards are revealing. If they're not using a spread and they're just laying cards out randomly, it goes right back into the ego mind and they start placing cards together that makes sense to them logically. But that's not what tarot is about. Tarot is allowing the cards to speak to you, to reveal the truth, and we have to take the mind, the logical mind, the ego mind, out of it. That's the magic of tarot. So if they're not using a spread, then you can just bet you're just going to get some random generalized stuff.
This is another one of those things where Erica has talked about it being less of a personal preference, which this absolutely is, and more of a Sith-ish, like, absolute. So tarot spreads, I have said to many of my students, and I have taught hundreds and hundreds, I mean, I don't even know how many, but like lots. We're probably in the triple digits now of students over the 25 years I've been reading the cards. And here's the situation. Reading with the tarot spread can help there are a lot of pros to reading with a tarot spread. It will give you context. It will allow you to hold boundaries for the spread. It will tell you where to start and end, so you're not like, oh, is that enough information? Have I finished? Like, what is going on here? They are wonderful. Plus, it gives you a really good way to learn the different aspects of each tarot card in each position. It is. I love tarot spreads. I've created like literally thousands and thousands and thousands of them, and you will know this. But it doesn't mean that you have to. I've also done freeform. I've like some of the best tarot readers I've ever worked with, have colleagues with, have friends with, don't use tarot spreads. This is another one of those things where it's clearly personal preference or professional preference, and this person is making it out to be the be all and end all. Really interesting talking about how like tarot, if you don't use a tarot spread, you're bringing your ego into it. And if you are logical with the tarot, you're not a real tarot reader. Like, what the actual? Like, I've said this before in many of my readings, there are different layers to learning and reading the cards. Like, knowing the core meanings is an intelligent act. It is a memory. It is something that you have to commit your mind to. So having that as a basis, which I'm sure this person does, I'm sure Erica does, and then adding your intuition or adding your astrology knowledge or whatever it may be on top of that, and creating your own special recipe and your own special magic for a tarot reading, there's always going to be intellect in it. There's always going to be the mind in it. So again, I think, honestly, to be honest, I think this whole video was created just to get comments and likes on this person's TikTok. So I'm taking a lot of this with a fucking grain of salt, because I understand what bait media is, but this is nonsense.
And last but not least, a tarot reader, anybody that's really in the spiritual community, would love to teach you about different things. So is the person you're following or watching, are they educating you on the cards? Are they educating you on spiritual practices? Because if not, they're more than likely keeping that. They're gatekeeping it because they want you to be reliant on them. They want you to keep feeding their pockets. We are here to help, not to feed off the vulnerable. And you just need to make sure that you are resonating with the person that you're watching, and make sure that they're just not feeding you what you want to hear. If all their readings are about love and or money, pass, because you want to hear reality. You want to hear guidance and empowerment. So I hope this helps you.
My favorite line in this whole thing is, you want to hear reality? Last time I checked, Erica, love and money are reality. They're pretty big deals. There is so much in this last one that I could probably spend like 20 minutes going over it. Okay, yes, definitely you have to resonate. But honestly, is someone booking a tarot reading with you to get an education about the tarot and their spiritual practices, or are they there to get you to read the cards and answer the fucking question? I think they're there to have you read the cards and answer the fucking question. And, you know, I've checked out your website. You have love readings on there. So if you were here to be doing all this spiritual work, you wouldn't have that on there. So, I mean, there's so much in this. Yes, I believe you should absolutely be empowering people. That is like across nearly everything that I do, empowerment. But to be honest, so many people are more concerned about where their rent check is going to be coming from, what is happening in their day-to-day fucking lives, than they are sitting around contemplating the navel for spiritual guidance. Yes, should you be weaving that in there? You know, if that's your thing. Not everyone sees tarot as a spiritual practice. Did I just blow your brain there, Erica? Or are you just being naive? I mean, like, there are so many ways to read the cards, and just because you don't read them spiritually doesn't mean that your practice is not valid. Just because you want to focus on love readings and career and money readings does not mean that you're not a spiritual person doing your work and not helping people. Just because you're not telling them to go fucking align their chakras and go hug a tree afterwards doesn't mean that your tarot reading doesn't resonate. There is just so much in this that is just utter, like, again, this is preference shit. This is how she reads the cards and how she thinks everybody else should be doing it. And you may notice I'm not here for that. I'm here for inclusive. I'm here for open discovery. I'm here for open-mindedness and welcoming new ways of seeing the cards. Because otherwise, if you just like box yourself in and like, no, I'm only doing this, you're going to get really stale. Yes, there are scammers out there. I have done a ton of videos on those. If anyone is being predatory, if anyone is barking, like going on your fears, if anyone is telling you you need to pay them X amount of dollars for curse removal or to get your ex back or whatever the fuck that is, red flag, red flag, red flag. And there are people out there like this, but that does not mean that these are in one camp or the other, right? Like there are so many like different ways of doing things in between. So yeah, I might have gotten a little bit spicy, but if you put your stuff on TikTok and want to talk about extremes or absolutes for tarot, then you have to at least accept that other people in the community who do this work professionally are going to respond to it. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below.